Hey everybody, welcome to the All About Favorite channel. Happy Monday, starting your week off right. I'm Pastor KZ here. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you for all of your support. If you have yet to subscribe, it's free. Comment, like, and share at the end of the video, y'all. All of the eyewear that I will be wearing this week have made my eyewear line, y'all. And some of the pieces I'm going to feature this week are exclusively for the men. All right, all this week, my attire, it's all about Nike, y'all. Yeah, Nike. Y'all heard me, Nike? Get my bag. All right, y'all, I have a little contest going for the subscriber who guessed Pastor KZ's birthday and favorite two colors. My birth date, my favorite two colors, and my favorite female gospel artist, old school and new. So that'll be two. And my favorite R&B artist. You can give me the top 5 of them. Okay, here we go. My birthday, my two favorite colors, my two favorite female gospel artists, old school and new school, and the top 5 R&B artists that I like. Come on, and what would be the prize? Look, for my female subscribers, you will get this mug. Now, this is a mug, and it is by Etta Vea. She's a sister who has her own mug line, and I'm shouting you out today, sis. This will be one of the prizes. Here's another one for the males, the real boss. And here's another one, females, you have to choose from. Woman on a mission. I may just give the prizes to the top 3 correct answers or the close answers. I want to do a public service announcement. Y'all, I have gotten a flood of emails all the weekend. These subscribers who are fans of sports all say the same thing. Pastor KZ, what's wrong with you? We were waiting for the sports wrap up on Monday. You didn't say nothing about Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes win over TCU. Pastor KZ, we missed hearing you say doing too much and go have a seat. When is the sports wrap coming back? 2 more Mondays and the sports wrap will come. The NFL kicks off, I think, September 14th, and the Monday night game is the 15th. You will have your sports wrap in 2 weeks. Y'all happy now? All right, let's get started with our topics for this week. The topics of this week, and I'm going to say this. I believe that each one of these shows that I am doing, I believe somebody gonna get blessed by it. And when I say you gonna get blessed, what I mean is what the content is going to be beneficial. And if you don't feel like it's beneficial to you, pass it along to somebody you know, because I am sure someone you know can benefit from this. So share the video. The topics all this week is real talk. Remember, I told you last month I'm going to add a segment in my series Real Talk Week, and I will do Real Talk Week this week and Real Talk Week Part 2 next week, because I have too many emails that I must address. And at the end, starting probably next week, I've contacted some social services organizations, and I'm going to put some phone numbers and some 1-800 numbers in my description box so you can reach out to some people, those of you who are seeking some therapy and counseling. Okay, so today's show starts off with the week cutting ties, severing relationships, cutting ties. Y'all, there comes a time in your life when you just have to sever some relationships. I know that's hard, but in other words, what I'm saying is sometimes you just got to cut ties. Sometimes you got to bring things to an end. You got to bring a relationship to an end. Now, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about intimate relationships, whether we're talking about work relationships, business relationships. Some relationships, you must cut ties. Now, let me say this. all relationships that you cut ties or things you sever things or bring things to an end, I want you to understand you're not always going to get closure. Sometime a relationship is severed via death, so you're not going to get closure all the time. And even when a relationship or breakup happens, a divorce happens, sometime you will leave that relationship and the person still have not given you the closure that you're seeking, and you have to learn how to be okay with that. I want to preface this. I am not an expert. I am not here offering you any type of advice. But what I am doing here is just giving you something to think about and just trying to give you some of my opinions based upon your emails of type of situations you've encountered and give you some tools maybe you can use. Now, there are various reasons why some relationships come to an end. Now, you might consider doing some of these things. And again, as I always state as my disclaimer, I'm no expert or guru. I'm just offering some personal thoughts. But now, reason number one I'm saying this is, the reason I think severing a relationship might be an option for you is because you're getting absolutely nothing emotionally, spiritually, or physically, or even financially from the relationship. Sometimes you stay somewhere too long, and if you are not feeling like something is fueling you or feeding you, maybe it's time for you to consider cutting ties. Now, let me say this. In interpersonal relationships, I heard a man say, and actually he's one of my subscribers, and he said to me, he said, Pastor KC, I'm in a relationship with a woman, and we don't want the same things. She's a good woman, she's a good person, but I'm just not feeling her because the things I want to do, she's not interested. Even in things he enjoys doing, he said, I love going to the beach, I like being outside. She hates being outside, she don't like going to the beach, the park. And I think I need to go ahead and cut ties with her. And not only that, spiritually, he said, we're not on the same plane. He says, I am of the Christian faith. I believe in my Bible study and praying. And this woman doesn't believe. She's an agnostic. So we got problems there because when I'm going to church on Sunday and I invite her, she always has an excuse. And she says, I don't do the church thing. So there's a lot of differences there. And now that he knows this in the beginning, the early stages of this relationship, he says he's going to just sever that relationship. And he says, because I don't want to continue wasting time, because what he is seeking is a long-term commitment of marriage at some point from a relationship. So he says, I'm just not going to waste time. So I've informed her that I'm just going to cut ties. We're going to sever this thing. And that's okay. These are types of situations that requires a level of honesty, maturity, and being able to admit that, it's no point in just going on and us stringing each other along. I want to cut ties early before we get too far down in this, and give her an opportunity to find someone who's like her, and let me find someone who I share things in common with. Another thing, sometimes you gotta release what doesn't serve you. I just spoke a whole word right there. Sometimes in life, you've got to release what doesn't serve you. Now, I know somebody out there thinking, well, this sounds selfish. No, what you're doing is practicing self-care. It's very important that you understand cutting ties and severing ties with certain relationships is a part of your self-care journey. And if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're going to be of no use to anybody. Another thing is, and I want to say this, ladies, and I gotta hit you with this, ladies. This is something very key, ladies. And I say this, and don't come for me on this, but a man sending you a text every morning that simply has 2 letters, GM, he ain't really thinking about you. Stop wasting your time there, girl. Get you a man who can actually pick up a telephone and call you and have a real conversation with you. Get you a man who really is wanting to be with you. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later in the week. Now, let's talk about quickly again. I want to go back through what doesn't serve you. What doesn't serve you, release it. I am also talking about bringing you peace. If something is not giving you peace or is disrupting your peace and of mind, you need to just sever it and cut it loose. I'm just being point blank, period. When you don't have peace of mind, you need to reconsider if you want to stay in that relationship. Even on your job, when you are going to a job every single day, it's disrupting your peace. Maybe you should consider finding another place of employment, seeking a promotional opportunity or a transfer out of that department. Because when you don't have peace, and you stressed out and you walking around full of anxiety, that is not good for your self-care. And another thing, the next thing, number 2 reason I feel like you need to consider cutting ties is when you're the only one contributing to the relationship. When it's only one-sided, y'all, that's letting you know this person is just not putting forth any effort. And the same goes on your job, in your business ventures. If you're the only one doing the leg work, you're the only one putting forth the effort, you're the one trying to rally the troops and let's be a team and do teamwork, and you're the only one putting forth an effort, after a while you end up burning yourself out. Same goes when you're dating someone or you in a relationship with someone and you the only one putting forth the effort, the other person just kind of riding the wave of the relationship. You might need to consider cutting ties there. Number 3, the third reason, I think you have not grown, evolved, or moved forward to progressing in your life. If you're in a relationship and you just stuck, there's no progress, no forward motion, you might need to sever that. Are you in a relationship where you're not developing emotionally or spiritually? Think about that. Your emotional well-being and your spiritual walk is very essential. Now, I don't want to become preachy and churchy, but y'all already know the ministerial spirit is in me. So I got to say this. When you are not equally yoked, and I know that's an overused term, but it is so accurate. When you're yoked up with somebody and y'all are not walking together, as there's a scripture that says, how can the two of you walk together lest you agree? If you are with somebody and you're always butting heads, it's always a confrontation, a combative experience when you are around them that produces your adrenaline going, you're anxious, you're stressed out, you're angry, you're just fussing and fighting all the time. That's not conducive for your emotional well-being or your spirit well-being. With your spiritual walk, and I like to say this to everybody, it's not just about, I'm not just here just for the Christians. I'm here for people. So there are some people who do practice other faiths. But whatever faith that you are practicing and whatever faith a person chooses, that's still a part of your spiritual walk or your spirituality. Some people say, well, Pastor KZ, I'm just not religious, but I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, but I do believe. So whatever you choose to believe in, your spiritual walk or the faith that you're in or whatever denomination you're in, a lot of people get hung up on, well, I'm AME, I'm CME, I'm Missionary Baptist, I'm Primitive Baptist, I'm Catholic, I'm Jewish, whatever you are, I'm a witness, whatever faith you practice, Church of Christ, whatever it is, your spiritual walk and your spiritual well-being still has to be attended to. We like to say we're taking care of our well-being physically. I'm trying to get my finances in order. I'm trying to get financially stable. We talk about everything, but we do not talk about spiritual stability. We talk about getting I got to go and I'm going to therapy to get my emotions lined up and get my mind right. But you got to get your spirit right too. So please stop ignoring your spiritual walk. And if you are involved in a relationship with a person and you are not on the same wavelengths in a spiritual level, and it's causing friction, you need to consider severing ties. Another thing is, if you are not advancing in specific areas of your life, it's time to consider letting something go. Next, does the relationship cause you stress? Your peace is disruptive. I mentioned this earlier. There's always confrontation. You have got to consider moving on. Pure and simple. Let's face it. Some of you viewers and some of my subscribers here, some of you are over 35 years old. You're and some of you are over 40, 50, 60. I have subscribers in every age bracket. And the older you get, it comes a time when you got to start reevaluating some things. Remember, I did a show on doing a self-inventory. You have got to decide for yourself, do I still want to be wasting time here or putting up with this or walking in stress and anxiety, or am I ready to cut this loose and move on? Y'all, at some point, you know that you're in a relationship that's going nowhere. You know this. You know that the person is not on the level that you are on. And that's in every area. They're not on your level educational wise. They're not on your level social wise. They're not on your level spiritually, emotionally. You might be involved with somebody who's very immature. See, let me pause it here. Some people think age makes someone mature. But, and I'll share some emails later on, not today, but in another show, about people dealing with people who are in their, 40s and up, who act just like they're in their 20s. So you have to understand, at some point, y'all, you got to grow up. And if you're involved in a relationship with someone and they're immature, and I'm just tired of this, and I'm just not here. I'm not on this level. I've grown. I've evolved. Y'all know in some relationships, you ever heard people say, oh, we grew apart? Again, I ask you, what exactly does growing apart mean? And I think part of growing apart is what you're trying to describe here, that in this relationship, it's not serving me well and the time is expired. And I got to move on. I got to cut ties here. Now, y'all got to understand, there are just some people who have limitations. It does not mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean that it's something wrong with them. If you identify that this person has limitations and they're not where you are, and you're not going to grow together in the relationship or be able to have a happy medium and a good understanding, that is a person you just might have to just say, you know what, let us just remain friends or casual acquaintances. You know what? You got to understand that there's some people in life who's never going to move beyond where they are right now. It's a fact. And you got to understand, this person just does not fit you. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you got to understand, there are people with excellent qualities. They're good people. But as I gave you the illustration of the young man that was telling me earlier about the woman, she was a good woman, had good qualities, but they just didn't gel. It just was not working. Identify that and take this time and just have a conversation. All relationships that are severed or you cut ties with people does not have to end in anger and arguing and all of that. You can have an amicable departure and just say, it didn't work out, but hey, I wish you well. Also, sometimes severing ties with certain family members. Remember, we talked about generational dysfunction last week. And we're going to hit some more on that this week, later in the week. Sometimes you have to sever ties with members of your own family. Let me say this. I am in no way saying you don't love them. That's not what I'm saying. I am not saying you're not there for them when they need you and you all can't come together when you need to come together. But I'm just saying, there's some people in your family, maybe you don't have them in your daily circle. And some people in your family is okay with that because, as the young people say, they don't do me and I don't do them. I love them at a distance, but I'm okay with where we are. That's all right because you're being honest. See, part of this journey of wellness and wholeness is you got to learn how to be honest. And being honest does not always mean that something is negative or it's a bad thing, but you are taking care of yourself. So by cutting ties with people, even in dating, even in your family, you discover things about yourself. And during this discovery, you begin to realize it's just certain things I want and they don't want. And I'm okay with our personalities not gelling. What y'all think about this? Cutting ties and severing some relationships. I didn't go very deep. I just scratched the surface because I will revisit. Every topic I do, I will revisit at a later date. And each time we'll add more onto it. Thank you all for watching. And don't forget my coffee mug contest. Okay? And don't forget, for all of you men who keep emailing me, Sports Wrap is returning in 2 weeks. Y'all, get yourself focused. Find some balance. Be blessed. And always remember, give somebody a smile. And it's okay to say, you know what? I'm taking care of me this week. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. I'll see you back tomorrow. Hey, it's all about Real Talk Week. And Real Talk today was, it's all right to cut ties and sever some relationships. See you tomorrow.